Landing on Fan TV, it's 1-1, points dropped, clearly. Late equalizer, and yeah, I mean, it's not the best.
That's the worst team we're going to play all season. And we looked absolutely, I've said it before, we were bereft of ideas. We don't know how to play attacking football. This total control, 80% possession led to fucking nothing. We took no chances. When we get the ball in the offensive third, we look completely absent of ideas. We've spent so much money on attacking players, yet we look like we have no fucking clue what to do in this system. I'm not Frank de Boer out yet, but I'm real fucking close. Because if we keep playing shit like this, that's a terrible fucking team. I'm sorry. All respect to FC Cincinnati. You're an expansion team. You're supposed to be bad. That's a great match for you. That's a great point for FC Cincinnati.
Their first point ever.
That's 2 points dropped at home on the night that we unveil the banner. That is nothing like the 2018 MLS Cup champions. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That team, those 11 players on the pitch, do not resemble the champions that I know because of the system that they are being forced into playing. It's awful. The MLS is a salary cap league. You cannot expect full wholesale changeover season to season. You bring in a new manager, you have a South American locker room with a South American pipeline, with a South American influence. You're bringing in players from Argentina left and right. So you go hire a retread from the Netherlands? I mean, yes, he did great at Ajax, okay? I'm really happy with what he did at Ajax, but you cannot turn around and say he did great at Inter Milan or Crystal Palace, because he certainly fucking didn't. Jose Mourinho called him the worst manager in the history of the Premier League.
I mean, that's Jose Mourinho, though.
Okay,
I mean,
that's fine, but watching
he says
this,
a lot of things.
I understand that. We have now watched 5 matches for this team. What's the record in those 5 matches? 1-1-3. Have you been inspired by any of them? Herediano was a blip. Kennesaw was a blip. That was a horrible team that you put the screws to. Congratulations. Monterey showed you for what you are, and you just got your asses handed to you by an expansion team.
Well, okay, so you say that you're close to De Boer out. What time frame would you give him?
That's the problem, is like everybody wants to say take time. How many cups do you want to be out of? How far do you want to be down? How many points do you want to be down for the Supporters Shield? Do you really care about playoffs, or are you really interested in implementing a failed fucking system that nobody else outside of Wolves in the world fucking plays? It's terrible. It doesn't make sense. You have offensive attacking players that hate this system. I don't care if he won't say it. Joseph Martinez is unhappy. You can watch it on the pitch. He scored today, and he didn't even fucking celebrate to the way that we know that he can. Yeah. All right? He didn't do anything resembling something that a happy Joseph would do, and then he was absent for 90 minutes. You know, I mean, Gressel coming back, who's probably the man of the match. Nobody else covered themselves in glory. Miles Robinson had another great match, and I love seeing his emergence at center back, but why is he under so much pressure against fucking Cincinnati?
It's one of these things.
We made Adi look like Ibrahimovic, and that's unacceptable.
I mean, in the kind of run of play, it seemed like FC Cincinnati kind of grew into the match. So credit where credit was due in terms of that, but in terms of how we controlled the match, yeah, I mean, I think
credit where credit is due, but we don't put our foot on anybody's throat. We have a team that can score 5, 6, 7 goals a match, and we don't, and it bit us in the fucking ass today.
Did we really look like we were going to do that today?
Do we ever look like we're going to do that under Frank de Boer? Have we looked like that we're going to do that at all? Like I said, Herediano at Kennesaw was almost an aberration at this point, because you had free-flowing attack, and you had a team that got punched in the mouth and was fucking lost. You know what I mean? So after that, putting 4 in against them was great. They still look dangerous. They still look like they could have scored on us. We still look susceptible on the counterattack. Our defense looks fucking clueless. LGP is a red card waiting to happen every single match. And granted, Alan Chapman was terrible with a 10th minute yellow card, but why are you committing that foul? You've got people behind you. You've got cover. Why are you dragging the man to the ground? Why are you giving the referee an option to card you? It doesn't make sense. We don't look like we have a leader. We look rudderless. That's the one thing I could say about Tata Martino and Miguel Almiron, which are the 2 gigantic, gaping fucking holes in this team right now. Those 2 players, if we were in that coach and that player, if we had an issue on the pitch, Miggy could literally go, I'm taking this ball and I'm going 80 yards and I'm going to shoot.
Well, okay, the reality is that we do not have Tata Martino or Miguel Almiron anymore. And so what happens? What happens to turn this around?
You signed the South American Player of the Year and you're playing him out of position. He wears the 10 for a reason. Why do you have him on the left wing? Why are you forcing a system on players you don't have to play it? We are an MLS Cup champion winning team. We are a Supporter Shield challenging team. And you have literally come in and said, hey, I know we've got the players to play a 3-5-2 or maybe a 4-2-3-1, but fuck it, I'm Frank de Boer. And that is unacceptable.
Okay. I mean, I think you said your piece.
I've said my piece, and here's the thing. I will be out here supporting every single time. I'll be here Wednesday for Monterey, even though I think that tie is done. I think it's done and dusted. But you have to know, against Philly next Sunday, if we don't come out and we don't actually put a 90 minutes of inspiring soccer together, there's going to be louder calls than me.